Shaheds are now capable of launching missiles. For the first time, Russia has used a drone equipped with an R-60 air-to-air guided missile. Ukrainian air defense forces managed to bring down such a device. The new version of the Shahed is most likely experimental. But what was the enemy targeting? What danger do drones armed with missiles pose, and how can we defend against them? Mikhailo Manelyuk found out all the details.
The Russians are actively ramping up the production of attack drones. According to the Ministry of Digital Transformation, in just September and October, the occupiers used nearly 11,000 UAVs against Ukraine, including Shaheds. And it is these drones that the enemy is constantly improving, equipping them with jet engines and remote control. And now these drones will also be able to launch missiles.
They are dangerous, but it's not a major threat because firstly, these missiles are old, and secondly, their capabilities are very limited when it comes to launching them from a Shahed.
Russia has used a drone with an R-60 air-to-air guided missile for the first time. These shots show the moment this kind of device was shot down. According to aviation experts, most likely the enemy has started hunting Ukrainian helicopters and planes.
The range of this missile, if we're talking about heat-seeking target acquisition, then from the rear hemisphere of the aircraft, it's about 4 to 5 kilometers. If it's from the front hemisphere of the aircraft or helicopter, then it's about 1.5 to 2 kilometers. In reality, this is an old Soviet missile. It was, only partially effective, and it has certain problems with its seeker head.
Experts note that this version of the Shahed is still experimental for now. Moreover, the launcher is installed incorrectly on the drone, so the missile is unlikely to be able to launch and pursue its target.
What we saw, the missile is positioned on top of the structure itself. What does this tell us? If we're talking about the APU-60 aircraft pylon, it's a pylon that allows for free-fall release of the munition. It's not a catapult. It releases the missile, it drops a few centimeters, then the engine ignites, and it continues to pursue the target. In this case, in this configuration, the missile is locked onto the Shahed. Therefore, at this point, it's impossible to talk about using the missile itself as a means of attack.
Even if the Russians managed to activate the Romeo 60's engine, the exhaust would burn through the Shahed's body, aviation experts note. Moreover, a drone equipped with such weaponry would not be able to fly in the so-called swarm of strike drones, making it easy to detect with radar. In turn, Ukrainian aviation would have to fire off more flares to lure the missile away.
An old, antiquated Soviet missile will certainly react to all of the deployed flares. Well, I guess we'll have to install additional batteries to minimize this risk. Previously, on radar screens, the smaller the target object, the generally smaller and less distinct the blip or signal from it, would appear. It will look different on the radar on radars because there's a corner reflector involved.
The R-60 missile carries only 3 kilograms of explosives, so it poses a threat only to airplanes and helicopters. Russia stole the scheme of using drones with missiles from Ukraine, particularly after unmanned naval boats successfully struck enemy fighters and ships.
But there we realized that these old Soviet missiles don't work against aircraft. And here it's just a dumb warhead. Wherever there's a bigger heat source, that's where it will go. Besides, these Shaheds, however many of them they equip with missiles, that's how many won't be able to hit our infrastructure targets.
It's possible that cameras were installed on the downed drone with a missile, and that this device was being directly operated by an operator from Russian territory. Maybe the enemy was hoping that a Ukrainian fighter jet or helicopter would crash into this drone themselves. Be that as it may, for Army aviation, which is currently attacking enemy UAVs, this still poses a threat that must be dealt with, including through the use of interceptor drones, which are proving their effectiveness.
Right now, we are working to achieve the goal that the president has already announced. That is to have 1,000 interceptors per day. We are, let's say, moving toward this goal quite confidently.
Interceptor drones are currently one of the most effective ways to destroy all types of Russian UAVs.
The enemy is trying in every possible way to weaken Ukrainian air defense, testing different configurations, experimenting chaotically, brutally testing options, and looking for ways to turn their drones into effective weapons. The other day, the Russians attacked a mobile fire team with the help of Shahed with online control.
For now.
Mikhailo Manelyuk, Valentin Belic. Details, Inter TV channel, United News Marathon.